So, are people still moving to Florida in 2025?
Well, sort of. So stick around to find out what's really going on down here in Florida. According to 2024 U.S. Census Bureau statistics, over 500,000 people chose to leave Florida last year. But that doesn't tell the whole story, because over 637,000 people moved into Florida for a net positive gain of 137,000 people. If we haven't met before, I'm Caleb and this is Lanir, and we're from the This Week in Venice, Florida team here at Sharktooth Realty, and we help buyers and sellers relocate and move all the time. So this video is for you.
That's right. Now let's ask the big question. Are people still moving to Florida? And if so, why? Well, we saw that mass exodus, over 500,000 people leaving, and there was a myriad of reasons why. Let's take a look a little bit about why people were moving, and then let's definitely dive deeper into what our experience has been and what our clients are saying, the ones who are still choosing to move despite all of the national media, despite all of the concerns. Now let's talk about the obvious things that people really know, and we understand why people are moving. Now, it's no secret the cost of living has gone up dramatically across the country. We are not isolated or unique to this. It's certainly affected everyone at every price point. Certainly when you go to the grocery store, you feel that pinch. You're maybe not doubling up on your favorite espresso. You might be putting that off for the next week. And let's talk about here locally, property taxes are relative to increase in value. When you look at this historically, we've had retirees coming down here because of that affordable cost of living. And of course, that tax break, not having that state income tax is a huge savings. But what we've seen when pandemic hit is everyone had the same bright idea. I want to live somewhere warm. I want what's important in life. When we got stripped away with all our liberties, we really had to question what is important. And for me and myself, and I think for Caleb as well,
for sure,
we had that same looming idea. We can't take another winter, couldn't stay in place, couldn't stay stagnant. We wanted to live that never-ending summer. So we packed up our bags, we sold all our belongings, sold our businesses, and moved our families down here to Venice, Florida to live that never-ending summer. But the landscape has changed significantly since we've gotten down here. We watched home prices increase year over year at record-breaking pace and number. And what this did was there's many people who are certainly the beneficiary, people who were here prior, those retirees, those snowbirds who were invested and had been here, entrenched in the local community, certainly were the beneficiaries of record-breaking equity. And with the norm of older retirees changing the way they look at retirement and the way that they view the world, they are certainly more content to stay in place. But many took advantage of that equity and skip town. They were able to cash out, either buy another home, move laterally, or move to a less expensive place. Because remember, when those valuations go up, so do those property taxes. And when you think about people who are on fixed incomes, despite what their health is financially, they start to look at their cash flow monthly dissipating. So with that, with the rising cost of insurance, the fact that we've had several storms in the last 2 or 3 years, pretty significant ones that have really made people question, is Florida worth it? Is the insurance affordable? Does it make sense? And of course, we can't ignore the political climate. So many factors of why people are moving in and out of the state. But let's talk about the people who are moving in. Let's talk about what has changed. Because of this, there has been a different change. There's been a change in the landscape as far as who's moving here. Retirees still are choosing this as a destination. It's still one of the top places. Venice is actually number 2 place to retire in all the country, just a distant second to Cape Coral. But we're definitely seeing a shift following that affordability. But remember, the generation that is retiring is one of the wealthiest generations. So they have money to come and buy that retirement home, despite what the market is indicating, despite what their other expenses are in their respective states. But we're seeing a lot of change and a lot of reasons why people are still moving here. We hear from the clients, the same reasons still remain the same.
Yeah, and I can speak to that myself. I know you can too. We lived in Maryland, and it was just the winter blues absolutely got to me. I couldn't handle it. Essentially 6 months, you have to hunker down, stay inside. It gets dark early. in the evening. It's just a miserable place to live, to be honest with you, just in the winter. In the spring, summer, fall, I get it, everybody. Up north, it's beautiful. There's a lot of redeeming features, and that's why a lot of people snowbird down here. But weather is really, to me, it was the major factor on why we moved, and I think that still remains for most people. You know, all of our customers that we've been helping this spring, or over the winter and into the spring now, they've all had a horrible winter up north, whether they're coming from Canada or Connecticut or Chicago. It's just been cold and miserable, and people are all just fed up with it, and they're deciding what's important to me. Do I want to live somewhere where every morning, almost every morning pretty much, I can wake up to a beautiful sunrise, have a full day of great weather. You know, today it's mid-March, and it's going to be 80 degrees. You know, that is the perfect environment for good living, whether you want to go to the beach or just run around town, go play some pickleball. It's just incredible, and you can do that all year round down here. So I think for the most part, that's why people are getting off the sidelines and saying, you know what, despite this little, tumultuous environment we have, I still want to move where I want to be happy, and weather is a key factor to that.
Now, let's put some things into perspective so it makes a little bit of sense, because often we're reliant on the messaging from mass media to give us insights, and they really pull at our heartstrings, and we make a lot of emotional decisions. I myself, again, as well, could not take another winter. I couldn't take those dark, dreary days. I lived in Maryland, that mid-Atlantic, where you can have 4 different seasons all in one day. And I really dreamt about living that never-ending summer. And you probably can relate, saving up all year to go on a beautiful beach vacation, only for it to be so fleeting. You find yourself midway already getting sad and having that withdrawal and knowing that you have to get back to the conundrums of reality of life. But what if you can live that never-ending summer? So when we speak to clients, there's a myriad of reasons and options, but let's put things into relative perspective, because all you're hearing is the message, and you're hearing that we're back to pre-pandemic inventory levels. Just the word alone, pre-pandemic, sensationalizes the whole thing. What we're really saying is we're back to normal levels. Springtime is when historically across the country people start to list their homes.
Especially here because of the snowbird season. Most transactions happen in the first and early part of the second quarter. So that's when homes sell here. So the fact that there's inventory buildup, that's normal. That happens every single year. And you compound that by all the weather we had last year, and all of those people who they've had enough with the weather, and they want to move back. That's the
other irony of it all, is the weather in a lot of these mid-Atlantic, a lot of these northern states, including my hometown of Maryland, what they experienced this year was snow. And if you've been paying attention to the weather, you've been paying attention to climate, we're not going to get political to the reasons why the climate's changing, but you have noticed that there's been changes in the last several years. And a lot of these states that were normally getting snow year round, or every year they can count it, didn't have that much snow the last several years, and all of a sudden this year, weather became normal again. People started getting snow. They had a reprieve for the last several years, and maybe they shoveled one too many driveways to their liking.
I don't even want to talk about
like
snow.
One of our friends, our colleagues out in this market, always says you never have to shovel sunshine, and that certainly has resonated with us. But there are the same indicators of why people are moving out are the same reasons why people are moving in. Remember, it's not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to the real estate market. We always talk about with investments, when in doubt, zoom out. But we talk about when you're looking specifically at one market, it can be vastly different from your neighboring market. So these rising costs of living, the increase of insurance, the increase of taxes, it's not unique to Florida. It just gets sensationalized because of the storms, because it's a hot topic, and quite frankly, everyone dreams of living in a warm climate, so they know that all the viewers are going to tune in. But we're hearing from our clients that although our insurance cost has gone up, and we're going to talk about that because we want to dispel some concerns, you can definitely find insurance here in Florida,
not
specifically with what we focus on. We focus on new construction. New construction, you're going to get all those assurances. Now, Caleb and I, we've opened our books in the past. We've talked about our disparaging cost of insurance. I, at one point, after having after getting impacted by Hurricane Ian, my insurance went from $2,600 all the way up to $6,000. Now we have since had a reprieve, a discounting, and also have shopped around, found better deals. But Caleb, I think that's one of our people's biggest fears is they are under the assumption that if they buy a home here, they won't be able to obtain insurance.
Yeah, I think it all starts from the very beginning. When you're looking for a home, we need to consider flood zones. Obviously, flood zones are the big thing. We want to make sure that it minimize your impact or the potential that you can get flooded. So with new construction, all of these neighborhoods, for the most part, unless you have a little pond in your backyard and a sliver of your yard touches the pond and you have a partial AE flood zone, most homes are in that X flood zone. The new construction, they build that elevation up so that your home is raised up and out of that flood zone. So that's an easy way just to minimize your flood insurance. Also, new construction, they're built like fortresses. They're built up to code and beyond code most of the time. So these homes are absolute fortresses. So when these hurricanes come in, the worst thing that you're going to have, last year, what I heard from last year's hurricanes in the area was a slipped tile on their tile roof. That was about as bad as it got. Maybe a little siding got, just lifted up on the side of their home if it was facing, the direct wind. But there was not any real damage. It was pretty much limited to landscape damage. And then, but there was some storm surge along the coastline. I'm not going to deny that a lot of people were impacted if you live right on the water. But all of the neighborhoods that we sell predominantly, these are out of the flood zone. You're safe, so getting insurance is not a problem. We have many insurance agents we can refer you to give you some options. We always advise you to shop around for insurance, and there's ways to get it. My home insurance is about $2,500 a year for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,200 square feet, with additional flood insurance of $628. So flood insurance, and I live in an AE flood zone. My home is actually had, like that pond I described, we have that pond out back, and just the smallest little sliver is in the flood zone. But because we got an elevation certificate that tells us that our house is out of that flood zone and not at risk, then we're able to get really affordable insurance. We just had somebody who reached out the other day, and I pointed this out. Get an elevation certificate, a survey done, and submit it to your insurance, and it definitely will help you with your rates, no doubt about it.
Now, insurance crisis isn't unique to Florida. We've seen it all year across the country. Of course, California, we saw the devastation there. We saw the misinterpretation of individual insurance policies, people thinking that they have assurances in place, only to find out that they didn't have any assurances at all. And this is not unique to California, not unique to Florida. This is a nationwide thing. So when it comes to insurance, what you're going to do is we're going to refer you out to a couple of great brokers because you're going to shop around. It's not a one-size-fits all. It really comes down to your deductible, the type of coverage you want. Out here, we always recommend to go above and beyond, exhaust all of your coverage. You never know when we're going to have record-breaking rains. You never know. Even if you're in a flood zone X, what we found is that even if you're in a flood zone X, if you're the lowest home in that elevation, you're going to see the brunt of the water penetrate your home. So that's why Caleb and I, we're here. We're real estate experts. We're new construction experts, and we understand all of those nuances. But we know that's not unique to here. We know that you're dealing with that back home. And when we speak to our clients, we talk about those insurance costs. We talk about the rising cost of living, those taxes. And quite frankly, for a lot of them, it's a nothing burger. It's a wash. When they look at their respective states and then they start weighing in the lifestyle aspect of what they're paying versus what they're getting, I can tell you that there is a price to live in paradise. And we certainly, there are some things that are always going to make the national headlines that are truly a deterrent, but you get to a breaking point where the national headlines are not outweighed by your personal desire and dreams to be able to live outdoors all year long. But we know that one of those big deterrents are the hurricanes. And this past year, we experienced two hurricanes and a tropical storm that brought in record-breaking rains. It definitely exposed some of the weakness in our infrastructure, but it also was educational. It was definitely an evolution of the way the state and the local municipalities handle this. And I can tell you that they were responded with great urgency, with an excellent approach to understanding that the community here and that ancillary community community of snowbirds and tourists are equally important. So we've been working diligently to get our beaches back together. We've been working to get all the community. But what we've learned in this process is that there is a lot of promise and hope in the future with new regulations. Now, certainly that's a pain point. If you're living in older real estate, if you're sitting in an older home with an older roof and a lower elevation, these are some pain points that unfortunately it's the inevitable we're going to have to face. So when you're moving down, and we're not saying that buying a resale is out of the question, we look at those major components. And I think Caleb can speak on what those components are and how important they are.
Absolutely. We had a listing that we just got under contract, and the home had it was built in 1981, but it had a brand new roof within the last 3 years. It had their AC unit replaced. It had hot water heater replaced, had new hurricane windows, a brand new pool put in it. So, you're thinking about a home that's 30 plus years, almost 40 years old, or actually is over 40 years old. But all of those infrastructure, those big ticket items was taken care of. A homeowner invested in their home, took care of it, and now you're getting virtually a brand new home. The center block walls aren't getting old. They are what they are. But those key elements like the roof, AC, those are the big ones. Windows, hurricane windows, brand new pool. These are the things are going to make a resale much more a better investment or something that you can consider. Do you want to have a project? Roofs that are old, that can be a challenge for you. Those are hard to insure. If the home has a roof that's over 18 years old, regardless of the tile, whether it's an asphalt shingle, a clay or a tile, a clay tile roof, or even a metal roof. Your insurance companies, they try to start raising your rates after 18 years. So that's why you have experts like Lanir and I to go out there and, to a degree, I don't want to say save you from yourself, but we're going to give you that information sometimes you don't want to hear. The things why we wouldn't buy this home, because that's what you want out of a real estate agent. You don't want a yes man or a yes woman that just says yes, 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 and tries to, sell you a home just to get there, make some money. We are not like that. Lanir and I take the time to learn what's important to you and give you the advice that sometimes you don't want to hear, because we don't want to put you in a home that you don't like, or that isn't perfect for you, or that is in a flood risk zone. We just don't want to have that happen to you. So we sell real estate with a conscience, and that's what you get when you work with a licensed real estate agent, and especially us.
Now, so we started off with this talking about, are people still moving here? We've certainly covered a lot of the reasons why people have moved out and the deterrence of why people choose not to move here. But what we're seeing is a shift in the type of person that is moving here. It's, we say it all the time that this area was originally a designation for retirees solely, but it's truly become multi-generational. We saw that shift pre-pandemic. It was a much different landscape. But now with the inception of Dwellin Park, that sixth fastest master plan community, selling master plan community, Lakewood Ranch, that number one multi-generational community up in Sarasota and Sarasota County and Manatee respectively, it is an absolute destination for people who want to live that great American life, that dream of having your kids play outdoors, that white picket fence. But that white picket fence has been exchanged for gated communities, robust amenities. What people want out of life and the expectation of it has really shifted, especially for that family. Now, we understand that this isn't a price point for everyone. We understand that some people are looking from the outside in, feeling like it's unaffordable. But if you move a little bit inland, or if you were someone who is really handy and has the ability, like a tradesman, to do a lot of that work yourself, there's incredible opportunities. I wish I had that skill set. I'd be living much closer to the beach right now. But there are opportunities galore. But what we're seeing here, because we have this big boom of new construction, gated communities, these very cohesive and boutique lifestyles, we're seeing a new shift in what families want. But we're getting a lot of influx of people who are C-suite executives, a large influx of remote workers, and now we're starting to see young professional families. Now, those families, these younger folks, they're much more affluent. We have one of the largest influx of 30 to 35-year-old couples making $200,000 or more. Now, I know $200,000 $200,000 doesn't go as far as it used to, but it certainly can get down here living that never-ending summer. But we have great pockets inland. And when I say inland, I'm talking about no more than 30, 40 minutes from the beach. Somewhere's an hour. The further you go away from that beach, of course, it's more affordable. But there's great opportunities across the board. But the consumer behaviors have changed. The way people look at life, the way people access inventory, the way people, even the youth, the way they look at the world has definitely shifted. We're seeing the average first-time home buyer at 38. Part of it is because of all of those disparaging things we talked about, the cost of living, the market feeling unattainable. But a lot of it is also the behavior has changed. Kids are much more content to stay at home. They have the world at their fingertips. They're not as adventurous. For us, in order to find out what happened, we had to be outside. We had to see it for ourselves. And kids are much more content. But also as a parent, I see myself shifting as well. I'd love for my kids to be close, for my son to be nearby. It's not no longer do we ship them off to war, ship them off, maybe to college, but even that is shifting. The reality is that things have shifted, but many things have remained the same. We all yearn, we all dream to live that never-ending summer, to give our families the best of lives. We all think about our golden years, sipping on cocktails and mocktails with our feet up, getting a tan, living our best lives, watching these beautiful views. But we know that it's not for everyone, but that's why Caleb and I are here. We're here to fill in that gap, guide you through the process. I mean, we're relocation experts. We did it ourselves. We help hundreds of families make that same move, and we want to make sure that we dispel all those concerns, because this is an amazing life. It's an amazing opportunity to really give back to yourself, live that vibrant life. I mean, retirees here are completely different than the rest of the country.
Yeah, they're happy. They're actually happy. I can't tell you just the change personally from when I was up north to when I'm down here. I'm a different person, and it is weather dependent. And I just love every single morning. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Waking up, watching that sunrise, nice and bright, your house fills with light. You can walk outside at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's actually warm. It's just an incredible lifestyle. I wouldn't change it for anything. I wouldn't move back north ever. Not a chance in hell I'm moving back north. This is for me. I know everyone out there is dreaming to have the same lifestyle that we do, with the beach right around the corner, great tiki bars and great dining all around us. This is where it's at. This is happiness for me, and I know that you're probably thinking the same thing.
Now, with all of the naysaying, all the doom and gloom, there comes a great opportunity. There is that silver lining on the horizon. Right now, we've experienced some amazing reductions, ridiculous incentives, especially from a lot of these newer builders. These builders are going to continue to build. Many of these builders are building spec homes. They have to get those homes off of their books, and there's a great opportunity for you to come in and for us to get in front of these builders and negotiate you an amazing entry point. But there's an opportunity. There's an ebb and flow when it comes to real estate. We're always looking at 5 and 10 year cycles, but right now is a downturn with a big upside. Now is a great time to come down, leverage that buying power, really be able to shop all of the inventory, because remember, we're back at pre-pandemic levels, which without any doom and gloom means we're back to business as usual. People want to move here. They want to live that never-ending summer, and it's always going to be the one constant in life is change. We have to accept it. It's not easy. I remember growing up as a kid playing football at the local church called Pilgrim's Church. It's where all the neighborhoods congregated. My neighborhood, Foxhall, we dominated. That's a different story. But I remember when the state came through and they had to widen that road, and they took away our field, and they took away part of my friend's yard, and we were devastated. It was an early lesson in life that change is constant, but there's always a horizon. There's always a better tomorrow. There's always a place to catch peace of mind. So don't listen to that doom and gloom. Don't listen to those naysayers. We are really living our best lives. Put things into perspective. We may have hurricanes here or there. Hopefully we've fulfilled our quota, but in other states you have flash floods, you have ice storms. Maryland, Mid-Atlantic, it was a regular thing to get ice storms. It shuts down the city. It destroys the infrastructure.
Knocks out the power.
Puts people out of business. It gets people stuck in their homes. Here, I've never heard of anyone being stuck in their home because it's too hot. They just put on take a cold refreshment, turn on that AC, or go to their friend's house. But this is a true place where you're going to live that amazing life, and it is worth those couple extra dollars to live that life in paradise. You've spent that money on that vacation. You know what that costs. You know how exorbitant important it is. You're looking at your life now and you're wondering what improvements can you make. Well, you're certainly going to make an improvement by reaching out to us and finding if you have that path to getting down here to live that never-ending summer.
There's so many people that have been sitting on the sidelines, and we encourage them, now is the time to do it. We have great opportunities. Like Lanir was talking about inventory. Just an example, down in Beach Walk, they have a villa that was selling just 6 months ago for $500,000, $509. Now they're willing to negotiate down to like $415. That's almost a 20% reduction in just 6 months. Don't worry, people are going to say, is this the bottom? No, it is not the bottom. The reason why they're able to give these discounts is their inventory homes that they have on the books, like Lanir mentioned, and they're getting close to their fiscal year end. So businesses need to, these builders need to close homes, and the profit margin isn't always the most important. It's about doing those deals, proving to their bank that they're worthy, that they need that next draw so that they can continue on to the next stage. So it's not as if the market's dropping out, the bottom's dropping out, and they're giving away these homes. They're just simply giving great incentives and great discounts, and these are the opportunities that you can take advantage of.
Yeah. Now, do we want things to be in a healthier place? Certainly, but we know that we're heading in the right direction. We've seen things hit that tipping point, both the good and the bad. But what we're seeing is progress. We're seeing homes being built more sound. We're seeing great incentives. We're seeing insurance companies actually make an effort to make those reductions. We have a government in place, despite what side of the coin you fall on, that's very business-centric, very owner-centric. The fact that we're just having the conversation of of eliminating property taxes, is it realistic in our lifetime? I'm not sure. I'm not going to hold my breath. But it gives me some insight of what we want, what our government wants, what we want for our people. Florida always represented the American way, coming down here, living your dream, retiring those golden years, living out the best of your life in this beautiful, warm climate. But we're seeing a mass shift. We're seeing business owners pack up shop and bring it down here because of those great tax incentives, because it's a very business-centric. This is a entrepreneurial spirit at heart, and I think it resonates with all of the people who come down here. You see retirees coming down here and starting side businesses just because they're so proud of what they've done, their skill set, or maybe it's a recipe that they want to showcase and they open a restaurant. And it's really an incredible sight to see. But people come down here, they get reinvigorated, but the landscape is changing. The prices are going to continue to rise. Our bottoms are higher. Our peaks are higher. But there's an ebb and flow, and there's a place to get in for everyone. So whether you're looking for a $20,000 lot or a $20 million estate, there's great opportunities. And I can tell you that, rest assured, you're going to have warm weather year-round. You're going to have those beautiful beaches. And humans, we have short memories. We don't remember what happened a year or two ago. All we know is what's in front of us. So get out of the way of that media. Get out of the way of that doom and gloom. Open your eyes. Look at your possibilities. Start stacking your chips. Get yourself in position to take advantage either of this downtrend or the next, because I can assure you they're going to happen. That's the inevitable. But we're here to help make sure that you get into it with a great entry and exit strategy. We'll make sure that when you move down here, it's stress-free, that you can truly live the life that you're dreaming of, that never-ending summer.
Absolutely. I think we've covered it all. So, get off the sidelines, everyone. And turn off the national news and start paying attention to what's important to you.
But one thing, just in case, if something resonates, if you want to learn more about any of the opportunities, and I know today we had more of an open conversation. We usually like to follow more of a storyboard or a storyline, but we thought it was important to just be transparent, talk about what's on our hearts, what's on our minds, because we know it's on our clients' minds. We know it's on yours. Dispel a lot of those concerns. But if something resonates, you want to learn more, what do they have to do, Caleb?
You got to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule down below. We have a link to our calendar. You can schedule an appointment so Lanir and I can sit down with you and talk through what your wish list is, any questions you may have, and we don't rush that. Just yesterday we did it, and I was on the phone for an hour with the customer. That's what we do. We make time for our customers, so don't ever hesitate to reach out to us.
And if you're in research mode, we come out with weekly videos. We have hundreds of valuable resources covering all the latest developments, Sarasota, Venice, Inglewood, all of the surrounding area, lifestyle, economics, everything you need to know to make an informed decision. And if you know someone making that move, please share this with them. It's a great resource. And if you like what you're hearing, please hit like. You want to be the first to be notified. Make sure you hit that bell and subscribe so you're the first to find out about all our latest developments.
All right, so now are we done?
I think we're done.
All right, so for This Week in Venice, Florida, I'm Caleb.
And I'm Lanir.
And we'll see you next week.